Greetings! Tony from Old River Hardgoods again. Well, summer sure has moved in this part of the country with a vengeance. It hit 90 degrees Fahrenheit here today, and of course there's the ever-present threat of thunderstorms. But you'll have this, and at least it ain't snowing, right? Anyways, this video I'm going to talk about some uncommon, which is a word I know I use a lot, but in fact they are, tools, one rare tool, and a few good solid user tools as well. So sit back and enjoy, and there's also a really solid flea market segment at the end, so stay tuned. And here we're going to take a closer look at a tool that I recently acquired and sold, and that is a Miller Falls #1 Alford hand vise. Now, who Alford is kind of lost to history. I suspect it was the guy who designed it, but there's no record of it. And it's a pretty neat tool overall. It's standard hand vise. This little tang here can be screwed from either side, allowing the head to be used with a brace. The jaws, I want to flip it over here because it's easier to do it this way. Open up. And you can see the cross hatching, both vertical and horizontal. The handle, if I can do this without making too much mess here. Yep, there it goes. Handle also unscrews. You get the idea. You take that off when you're using it with the brace tang. The end of the handle is hollow and contains an assortment of bits. Now this one didn't have all the bits. Fortunately, when I got it, kind of pieces were scattered. I had to hunt for the brace tang, but at least I got that. This piece here is for a circle cutter, but I didn't get those bits. That gets secured in the chuck, and then you can should have two little angled bits. Sorry about the position there. I was watching my hand. But this one actually is in really good shape. I mean, there's a few scuffs and scrapes, but compared to some of them I've been finding, which has been, let me say, is few and far between. I'm lucky if I see one of these guys a year, probably less than that. This one was in really, really good shape overall, and it's a good collectible and another great usable tool. And here we have a rare. I do mean rare because I haven't seen hardly any of these in all the years I've been doing this. A file cutter, or maker's chisel. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, files were made until they started doing them with machines about 100 years ago by guys sitting at a workbench with a steel blank, a chisel like this, and a special hammer called a dog head hammer, where the eye was mounted almost towards the end of the head, and they would sit there and manually cut the grooves in the untempered steel blank one at a time, spacing them by eye. And let me tell you, it's not as easy as it sounds. This one, the edge is dulled on it. It's got this touch mark on both sides. You can see how thick this is. Of course, these were made different sizes and widths depending on the type of chisel being made. There's also rasp cutters chisels, which are even rarer. They've got a diagonal, or actually a square cut point, but it sits on a diagonal for actually going in and cutting them. And this one's got some carnage going on the end, and like I said, the edge is dulled, but these guys are few and very, very far between. I might have said that already, but I'm just kind of working without my usual script here. But You know, this is one of those traits that's very underappreciated. A lot of the English files made during the 19th century and even the 18th century were made by journeymen. Guys sitting at home with a workbench or a small anvil, just sitting there cutting these files day in and day out, and they were being paid by the piece. So you can imagine, in order to make a living, you had to do a lot of work in a short amount of time, and you had to do good work because the people they were making them for sure didn't want junk coming in. So next time you find an old Butcher file or an old Spears and Jackson file, it's marked cast steel, any file marked cast steel, it was made using one of these. Well, if you watched my video on early braces and bitstocks, a link for which is down at the bottom, just in case you haven't, shame on you. I talk about the difference between a plated and an unplated bitstock. Well, this is an example of a plated bitstock. That term is used because it has these brass plates set into both sides of the body to help prevent the cracking and damage that often occurs with them. Now, Amateur Hour on eBay will call these an ultimatum brace, but a true ultimatum bitstock or brace has a metal frame with wood or other materials infill. Sometimes you see horn, you see ivory, the really high-end ones, but nope, this is just a simple plated brace. And this one was made by T.E. Wells of Sheffield. Now, he's listed as a joiner's tool maker in the 1839 Robson's Directory of Sheffield, England. There's also a Thomas E. Wells who's listed as a tool maker in Philadelphia, PA from 1850 until 1854, and I suspect it's the same individual. Going out on one of my shaky limbs there, but there were quite a number of English toolmakers who traveled over during that period. And this one's in decent condition. Unfortunately, the catch inside the chuck is damaged. There's a little bit there, and I was able to catch a bit with it. The body's in pretty good shape. The body is beech. You know, a few dings, but no real damage to it. The pad, I'm thinking, is ebony. That does have some damage. It's got a check to it and some chipping, and there's a little play on the shaft. But, you know, these guys are getting few and very, very far between. Yeah, I say that a lot, but let me tell you, good tools are not getting any easier to find. And here we're going to take a closer look at an Ames patent center square. I believe I talked about these once before in another video. Nathan Ames of Boston, Massachusetts was granted patent number 9089. Think about that, 9089 on July 6, 1852 for the design of this tool. Now this one was made by George and Gavin Holiday of Lynn, Mass. And they only were in business from 1854 until 1856 when they sold the rights to the design to J.R. Brown and Sharp Company, which later became Darling Brown and Sharp, and then later became just good old Brown and Sharp. But this is one of the originals, and it's in decent condition. I mean, there is some light pitting and wear, but the rulings are still readable for the most part, even with my tired old eyes. The edges on the head are pretty good. Now the big difference between this one and the Brown and Sharp models, no matter what iteration, is that the rule is attached with the steel pins, I guess they are, where the Brown and Sharps use screws. But other than that, tell you what, this is a very rare tool. Very few have shown up, and I don't think there's too many more out there. So, but if you like collectible patented tools, keep your eye out for one of these. This one's sold already, so too late on this one. Another tool that I recently had and did some restoration work on is this Miller Falls number 4 T-auger handle. Now these guys aren't signed, but everybody knows they're made by Miller Falls. And it's a ratcheting handle. I got it in the lock position there, but it does ratchet. If I can do this one-handed. Come on. All right. Go the other direction. Boom. But it works in both directions, and it has a lock position. And this is a pretty solid, heavy-duty tool. This thing weighs close to 4 pounds. And overall, it's not in bad shape compared to a lot of these I see. One of the things you do have to watch out for is sometimes these chuck shells are cracked. This one's pretty solid, and that the jaws are good. Now, one of the neat features of this tool, if I can do this one-handed, is that this handle unscrews on this side, and the top of the chuck is threaded. And if I can do this one-handed, this is going to be a miracle. Booger the threads up. Okay. Doesn't go in real far, but it goes in far enough. Allows us to be used in a ratcheting fashion for close corners. This upper handle here spins to facilitate that. And again, it's a pretty neat tool. Finding them in good shape anymore is getting kind of hard to do. I got about 2 or 3 others here that are in pretty rough condition. Occasionally pick one up for parts and put one together, but this one is as found. So another good collectible and another great user tool as well. Here we have another fairly uncommon tool. This is a tri-square by the Star Tool Company of Middleton, Connecticut. They made squares and marking gauges from 1867 until 1883, and I know I've talked about their patented bevel squares in the past. You can see hopefully you can see the mark. There it is in the shiny stuff here. And somebody else cleaned this guy up. It does have some pitting and patina, but the rulings are fairly good on it. This is a 10-inch model. You see some pit in there, a little roughness on the edge, and of course here. But this does have the double brass handle. Something you don't see too often on American tools. The English ones, the better English ones. But rosewood on the handles, username. But again, this is one of those squares by this maker that does not show up very often. I mean, you see the bevels from time to time, and I did a quick look on eBay while trying to come up with a price for this guy, and seems the fools have been giving those things away lately, but what are you going to do, right? You want good tools, sometimes you got to pay for them, and I know I sure do. So anyways, just another good collectible American tool. Well, I'll tell you, Saturday it was 62, 63, muggy, and of course hazy from the Canadian smoke that we're still getting down here, but pickings were just off the charts. I mean, kind of makes up for all those days I go up there and only buy 1 or 2 or 3 items, at least for this trip. So, got a lot here. Let's take a look. got a Trion, I can never say that right, 8-inch draw knife in fairly good shape. A couple of socket trimmer chisels that are going to need some serious attention. That's kind of why the paper's down, because they're a little grimy along with a couple others. There's a 1/4 inch and a 3/8 of an inch and a 1/2 inch Pexto socket trimmers. Not too bad except for the handles. Stanley Sweetheart Tri-Square. A red diamond hardware store brand marking gauge in pretty good shape. A wing compass divider. I saw a name, but I can't really read here. Probably a Peck Store PS&W. Stanley number 65 Champer Shave. Needs some TLC, but it's complete. A double-bladed spoke shave. Probably a Seymour Smith. That one definitely needs, like I said, needs some work. I passed on a clean one the guy wanted $30 for. A VC Company hand vise in pretty good shape. That's a German maker. That's Vickers something. Vickers somebody. A socket awl with a nice handle on it. Don't see them too often anymore. I got 3 boom silversmith planishing hammers. Don't know the makers yet, and they do need some cleaning. A Sawmaker's hammer. The handle a little loose on that. A couple of cobbler's hammers. A neat little jeweler's vise in pretty good shape. It's got a mark on it, whatever that is. Blacksmith hot cut chisel. That's a real hot cut chisel too. A Stanley angle divider in pretty good shape. And I've talked about these before, but this is an Ames patent center finding tool. And this one does have the patent on it. I can't really read the maker's name. Maybe I brought the magnifying glass over here, I could, but that's definitely one of the older ones because the arm is riveted and not, or pinned and not screwed in like you see with the DBSs and the later Brown and Sharp. So this was round 1 for this picking, but stay tuned because we got more goodies to come. And the last blast from this round, I got 21 screwdrivers. Oh, I saw one Bridgeport in there, but most of them are Stanleys. And most of them ain't too bad a shape. They need a little bit of work here and there, but number Herwoods, you know what that is. I also got a box of 5 Yankee Stanley. These are the, should I say, new in the box. Some have some dings from bouncing around, but kind of bluish handles on them. Says probably 1960s vintage, but you sure don't see that very often. So all I can say is July sure started off with a bang. And that's all for this one, folks. Sunday's flea market kind of got, well, it wasn't rained out, but the threat of rain sure kept the folks away on both of them. And Wednesday's flea market, well, let's just say I'm going to be lucky to break even on the gas for what little I got. You know, it's feast or famine, but that's the way it is. Anyways, next week is the big Jacktown show, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which I'm hoping to be at for 2 days. Weather gods permitting, of course. And I hope you enjoyed my little presentation. Hope you learned something. And as always, please hit that subscribe button to be notified when new videos are posted. Have a great day.